going on, everybody? Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Viall Files, Going Deeper edition. I'm your host, Nick, joined by Amanda in studio. Allie is in her home. We haven't had the band together for a while.
We've been doing Skeleton Crew.
Yeah. Just, but we're here. We're, as far as you, dear listener, are concerned, we are here, just not in the same room. How's everyone doing?
Fabulous. I feel like a medical miracle. If you thought that you couldn't get COVID twice within 4.5 months, I'm here to prove you wrong.
Yeah, a lot of repeat.
Were your symptoms more or less what was that experience like?
Well, last time I had COVID, I had strep at the same time. So that was miserable.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So I felt like it was primarily strep. This time, the first 24 hours were brutal, but then I felt like I significantly improved. And
you look great.
Yeah.
Knock on wood. COVID is yet to come knocking on my door.
Same. I always say I've yet to test positive.
Yeah,
because I don't know if I had an asymptomatic.
Yeah, me neither. But
I know it's morally neutral. It doesn't matter. But I do have a little bit of a chip on my shoulder where I'm I evaded COVID so far. I'm gonna get it ASAP now that I've said that.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't want to get it. People definitely have had There's been studies about long-term residual effects of getting COVID. So
my friend said all of the food, or off and on, the food she eats tastes like sulfur. And it's been 6 months.
Yeah. So I'm definitely trying not to get it, On a lighter note, 90% of people want to date someone who go to therapy.
Okay. So this is something, I don't know if it's been popping up on people's For You pages, but Hailey Bieber previously did an interview and they were playing a game of, is it a red flag if someone you're dating or interested in dating hasn't done therapy? And she had a very eloquent explanation of, she would say it's a red flag, but also it's very inaccessible to certain people in different areas due to financial reasons. But she did very much recommend it, especially if you are thinking more long-term or if you want to marry someone. So also, according to Hinge's 2022 dating prediction data, 91% of users want to date someone who goes to therapy.
How many of those users go to therapy? How many of those? Right? How many of that 91%? Because weren't you saying in your matchmaking job, there's a lot of I want X, Y, and Z for my partner, many of which are qualities that person doesn't have themselves.
Well, something's not adding up because everybody says they want it, but haven't been able to find it. And so if the number of people who wanted it were the number of people who possessed it, we would have a lot more
everyone
coupling
saying
off.
That no one asks questions on dates.
100%.
And everyone's saying everyone's talking about themselves on dates. It's
That's weird.
Yeah.
But it's also interesting. The data also said that 89% of daters are more likely to agree to a second date if the person mentions therapy on the first date. So clearly you're going to hook them when you're talking about therapy.
I agree with Hailey Bieber. It's like everything else these days. I think red flags, what's a red flag? I think red flags are completely subjective. There's your obvious ones, if they're rude to waiters, if
they don't tip,
if they get unbelievably drunk on your date, that's a red flag.
Or incredibly reactive for small reasons. But the only red flag when it comes to therapy on a first date would be someone saying how stupid therapy is and how they don't believe in it and how they advocate against therapy. That's a red flag. But someone who hasn't gone to therapy, who might be yeah, I don't know, I just haven't done it. Or I'm not sure if it's for me, but whatever. Yeah.
I feel it's less of a red flag for not going and more a green flag if someone mentions they go. I find it to be, because, a question to the group is, what are the assumptions you make about someone if they say they're in therapy? Because for me, I think of a higher level of self-awareness, reflectiveness, not holding on to certain stereotypes about the need to go through things with independence and white knuckle it, but rather seek help in appropriate areas, all of which are qualities that I love in a partner.
And I think also if they're open about maybe challenges they've gone through and then they pair that with therapy, like I'm automatically, it's a green flag because I'm like, oh, you don't just, again, do the white knuckle approach or try and suppress it. You want to actually grow from this. And that, I think, is a good indicator of them being able to grow in a relationship as well.
One thing I thought was so hot was I was dating this guy who he was kind of a robot in certain ways. He was incredibly polite and nice, but almost to a fault, or not to a fault, but just very wow. Just sometimes I was just like robot, perfect person, perfect habits. And he mentioned that he is no longer in therapy once a week, but he said he goes once a month just to make sure he's maintaining his toolkit and checking in. And I was like, wow.
That's what I do.
He's evolved. You only go once a month?
No, I go every other week.
Okay.
And it's just a maintenance thing.
It's a tune-up.
Yeah. It's just like and then sometimes I'm like, I got nothing, Darlene. I'm feeling pretty good. We figure out something. And half the time I'm like, I'll get her advice on things we talk about on the show, make sure I'm assessing a situation correctly. I'm like, hey, it's I'm paying for the hour, so I just use it however I want,
It's like an exorcism when I go to therapy. I feel like this stuff that I didn't even know I was bottling up. I've been in a real crying era in therapy where recently I start cry, and sometimes it's not even.
I've yet to cry in therapy.
Oh.
Well, is that a red flag? Oh God.
You're done. Canceled.
I'm a big crier. I'm a crier on my day-to-day life.
But I was that was something I was talking, because I had a little bit of a meltdown. I always get the worst Sunday scaries, really, really atrocious, terrible panic Sunday scaries. And I had a meltdown in Griffith Park. I was sitting on my perfect picnic blanket with a thing of raspberries and a book. It was supposed to be self-care. And then I got super overwhelmed and I ended up calling my mom, and I was like,
was this yesterday?
This was yesterday. And I was like, the thing in LA that I'm struggling with is I have some friends who I really, really like, but I don't have anybody at the level of friendship where they would check in on me. I have friends where we could make really low stakes plans where we could just hang out in each other's presence, quality time. But I don't have friends who would reach out and make sure I'm doing okay the same way my friends from home would. And my mom, when we were talking about crying in front of friends, she was like, it's a risk, but it's a risk that's worth taking. It's always going to feel vulnerable to be the first person who cries in front of someone.
So are you just going to bring out friends and start crying and see what happens?
No, I had a full breakdown in front of a friend, not this past weekend, but the weekend before. And I was getting in my head and I was like, everyone hates me and everyone's going to leave me. And she gripped my face and was crying herself. And she was like, I am never leaving you. And it was a very beautiful, dramatic moment.
Yeah.
I only cry for commercials.
And I'll call her daddy.
And yeah, I'm more of a happy tears guy. I'm not a sad tears guy.
So, yeah, sometimes when I feel a sense of community, sometimes when people do the wave at sports stadiums, I tear up because I'm like, look at all these people moving in synchronicity. Or in bar class, when it's a bunch of women moving together, I'm like, wow.
Well, speaking of sports fans out there, big announcement. Some of you on my Instagram might have noticed that every Wednesday I've been doing a podcast hour on Amazon Live, their new platform called AMP. I have a sports show, and we've been kind of tinkering with it the past couple months, but it's official. It's out. It's called Fandemonium. My co-host, her name is Lindsay McCormick. She's worked with ESPN, Sports Illustrated, the NFL Live. She's great, and we do it every Wednesday at 3 Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. So if you're listening today, check us out. Again, just go. We'll put these stuff on the show description to download the AMP. It's free. It's live. Eventually, we might interact with some people. We just talk a lot of Wisconsin sports, some national sports as well. I'm a big Packer fan. So all you sports fans out there, I know there are many who listen to the show. Check us out, again, 3 p.m. Pacific. Eventually, we will drop a podcast that you can listen to at your convenience. But right now, you can only listen to us live. So check us out.
Get it while it's hot.
Get it while it's hot. Well, it's hot every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern.
Also, we have another lovely office hours this episode. And if you want that to be you, shoot an email.
Send in those office hour texts, asknick@caspi.com. Hannah Berner is with us.
Delightful.
Delightful.
So funny.
So funny.
So funny. And I think I feel like she pushes you, not in an antagonistic way at all, but I feel like we really got some goods from this interview.
There's a mutual respect. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm a hard nut to crack, but you just have to know how to do it. I'm not unwilling to be cracked.
Yeah, it's like an egg where it's like you just got to do it gently so that way you don't get shell all over the place and break the yolk.
No, it's just more like a door. No, I'm a door that's really heavy and hard to open, but not locked.
Interesting.
Just got to jiggle that key.
There you go.
Not give up.
Hannah Berner, everybody. Hannah, welcome.
Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. First thing I say to Nick is, oh my God, it's the first time I've ever met you. I've known this man for 6 years. I met him in person multiple times.
Yeah.
Why am I talking to your producer instead of you? I couldn't pronounce your last name. We talked about Wisconsin. We go way back.
Yeah. And you went to Wisconsin.
Go Badgers.
It's okay, but like on Call Her Daddy, Alex was like, Nick, welcome. I go, thanks for coming.
That's when you're like, hi, I'm Nick. And I respond, I go,
like,
nice to meet you, I'm Nick. And you're
God.
like, damn it. We've both learned and grown and realized things.
Yeah.
We've evolved. We're both taken now.
Wow. Look at
Oh my
us.
God.
We used to be like city slickers.
You got
just
married.
being creepy around the city. Yeah, I did.
Oh, when?
Like a month ago.
How's it going so far?
Honestly, nice.
Still like your husband?
It's not. It's you feel more secure. I thought it was kind of
Do you?
bullshit and just like a waste of money, but the act of the ceremony really does make
So
you
feel more secure than stuck?
Oh, for sure.
Because I don't know. Some people might be like, oh, fuck, now we need a lawyer.
I guess he has to wear a ring now. Before he didn't have to wear a ring. I hate how these guys during their engagements just walk around free.
Should we be normalizing men's engagement rings?
Absolutely.
I'm down for that.
I'm down
Give me some jewelry.
for sure. And however,
Who's paying for that?
the girl.
The girl.
Why not?
We make money now.
I just want to make sure.
Also,
I mean, I know
it doesn't
this,
have to be flashy.
we don't really talk Bachelor on this, but like Dean Dean likes to say crazy shit.
Yeah.
And apparently, because a lot of people ask him if him and Kaylin are going to get engaged, and he said, I think on his podcast, I'll buy your ring if you buy me a van, and did not go over well.
Oh, I do feel like the finances start evening out, but I don't like when dudes are like, I spent 30 grand on an engagement ring for you, so now you have to give me all this shit. I don't
Sure.
play that game.
Okay.
I don't play that game. However, there's also the other argument that once a guy has a ring, he's like more
It's more
attractive.
attractive.
Because girls are like, ooh,
And
he has
so
approval.
do you really want your guy to wear a ring when he's not when he doesn't need a lawyer to break up with you?
You know, I also have a weird thing where I want other girls to think my guy's hot. Like, I'll get jealous, obviously, if they were to hook up or something. But I like girls to be like, ooh, he's taken. Ooh, he's hot.
I think it is so satisfying, especially because men have a track record of looking bad or not taking good photos of themselves. And so it is really satisfying, that moment where you do get to show like a presentable picture of your boyfriend, partner, and people are like, oh, damn. Like,
I mean,
good for you.
I don't. I mean, not together. I've never nailed the photo together. Nick, you and your girlfriend are like not attainable beauty, so.
She does a good job of making sure we look good. I take some bad pictures.
I take some bad pictures
It's-
of you.
Yeah.
It is so hard to
I
get two people to
I
look
almost
good.
fired Amanda once. But what guest was it? I don't remember who it was, but we have lots of guests. We have 2 guests a week. But I didn't like, I was like, oh, Amanda, take a picture of me and our guest, and I didn't look at him, and I went home, and I literally said to Natalie, I was like, what the fuck are these?
Oh my God.
You're like, do I look like that? Do I actually look like that?
I love Nick's self-aware vanity. It makes me so happy. But I think I also fuck up photos because I get nervous. It's always when you're not trying that you're like, am I gorgeous?
Totally.
Like you just look at a camera. But when it's with my husband, I'm like, don't fuck it up. And I'm like, that's 7 chins. Who thought you could even do that?
Nick, remember when you told me I was going to burn out?
I said, be careful that you don't burn out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And how does one
Burnout,
do that?
It's a burnout. It's a real thing. And like many things, therapy is a way to ensure that you are your best self mentally to avoid things like burnout. Well, BetterHelp is here to help you work on all those issues. BetterHelp is making you get the mental help you need easier than ever before because you're able to connect with a therapist or a mental health professional. They have literally thousands of therapists that work with BetterHelp so they can assign to you a therapist that is right for you. And the best thing about this is that you don't have to go with the first one. Sometimes finding the right therapist is a bit of trial and error, a little bit like dating, and BetterHelp makes that super easy, super convenient. You can do it from the comfort of your home. You can do it from your phone, your computer. They just make it so easy and convenient. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and online chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can be matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp.com/VIALLFILES. That's better, HELP.com/Viall Files. Get out there, get therapy, BetterHelp. Dating is hard, apparently. I don't know. Hearing other people's dates can be entertaining. And that's where Queen of Hearts comes in, a new dating show that gives you a front row seat to hear all the incredible highs and cringe-worthy lows of modern dating. And I say here because our contestants only get to use their voices to seduce one lucky suitor. Queen of Hearts strips away the fake tans, six-pack abs, and movie star smiles, because we all have those.
Yep.
To focus on what really matters, how good they are in the booth. Each week, the Queen of Hearts, RuPaul's Drag Race veteran Jujubee, will help these blind daters skip the standard cliche dating small talk. Traffic sucks. The weather is great. These are my dietary restrictions. And get right to sometimes funny and sometimes sexy games.
Ooh.
At the end of each week, we'll find out who is one step closer to love and who is headed back to the apps. Follow Queen of Hearts wherever you get your podcast, or you can listen early on Amazon Music and ad-free by subscribing to Wondery Plus in the Apple Podcast or the Wondery app.
Did you live together before you got married?
Oh, we moved in together pretty quick. It was during COVID. So we met. I shot a reality TV show where I was locked in a house and didn't see him for like 5 weeks. So we were wanting each other. It was like I gave him a little taste, and I'm like, I'm crying and yelling at people in a house. You can't get me. And then right afterwards, I think you just move in immediately. See if it works. Why wait 2 years when the second you're with him, you're like, I can't fucking take how he leaves forks in the sink.
It's kind of what Natalie and I did, only because, well, she lived in Georgia.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was like, move here. And then she did the whole, like, I'll get my own place. I'm like, let's be real here.
Yeah.
Like, that's pointless.
You're like, you know how many Uber rides
I just bought a house. Like, I'm a big house.
Daddy.
Like you're just going to be here anyways. So let's just see if it works.
Yeah. I think when you know you like being around the person, it's good. And two good-looking people can see each other for so long if it's constantly like fancy dates. Put them in a house with no TV or bad Netflix shows and sit on a couch and see if you enjoy time with them. That's a real fucking date. Take him to the DMV. Take him to Home Goods and annoy the shit out of him and smell every candle for 10 hours. Like, that's how you find out if you're compatible.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Pick a fight.
Start a fight on the first date.
How do you fight? That's what it comes.
Isn't compatible fighting what makes a good relationship?
100%. You don't really know if you're going to work out until you know you can fight.
Do you remember do either of you remember your first fight?
I remember my first tension moment.
Ooh.
And I think it says a lot. Look at your face right now.
Oh, do I have a bad face?
He's buffering.
He definitely has
buffering.
Nick has a resting
bitch face.
Disgusted face. He's just like,
no, I do. And it really gets me in trouble. Because they'll be like, my whole life I really struggled to be like, what's wrong? And I'm like, what am I doing?
You just look like something smells bad.
Resting ick face.
But I mean, it's handsome.
No, but yeah. Listen, it's really gotten me in trouble. It's worked for and against me. It's
bad for reality TV because they just cut to you always. And you're
I give them a lot of like if you want to make this guy an asshole, but then I'm the mysterious guy who they can't figure out, and it's been both good and bad for me in dating situations and in life.
You have resting disgruntled boss mood. Who's just like, guys, I mean, the manager meeting is happening and no one's got their shit together.
That's been my whole life.
I do have to say, when someone causes the first like drama in a relationship, like a guy will call me and be like, you want to, and you just immediately don't give a fuck, and you're like, cool, go away. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, that would be kind of my reaction when something was immediately not easy. Where with Des, I actually was kind of like, I was being naughty, and I like posted something to like make him a little jealous, maybe not like deliberately, but I wasn't like
sounds deliberate.
I wasn't considering his. I was just living my life.
The way you described
We
it,
weren't
it
dating
sounds
yet.
like you knew what you were doing.
Yes, I'm evil, and it was planned out. But we weren't together yet, and I kind of was testing him, I guess, which is naughty.
We all can, like, everyone's manipulative.
We all be testing.
I'm testing every day. I'm playing hard to get still with this man, and we're married. But he basically called me and he was like, "Hey, if you want to play games, like that's cool, but I really like you, and I'm really not into the game playing." And I put my tail between my legs immediately and was like, "I'm so sorry. That was like so not cool of me, and I'm sorry that it hurt you." And immediately I became this person I've never been that was like saying sorry.
Now, I feel like why it works so well is because of how he said it.
He was calm, and he just kind of called me out of my bullshit, and I thought it was hot.
Well, also reassuring you.
He was vulnerable.
Yes.
Because I think a lot of younger guys or less mature guys might have been like, "I don't play games. Why do you always do this?" And then they'll accuse. Rather, he was more like, "I don't know why you do it. I'm confused. I like you." And that vulnerability was kind of like, well, why am I? And I think without that, I like you, I really like you,
it would have just been a stupid fight.
It would have turned into a fight. Annoying. He would have said something to you that would have pissed you off.
He had like I feel this way.
Yeah.
And you can take with that what you want. And that was fucking hot. But it also takes him, he knew how he felt. And I do think that there's a lot of, I don't know, you could be messy, but you have to kind of you have to be honest with shit. You just have to be honest and put it out there. And I appreciate that with him.
I want to go back to engagement rings for males. I feel like it's an interesting, because I'm down for it, but do you think there'll be more infidelities in engagements as a result of men wearing engagement rings and looking hotter? And then I asked the question on my TikTok that, it got a lot of, I was trying to trigger people on a Friday night, and I asked if would you rather be cheated on or be fallen out of love with over time?
Oh, it's fucking Monday morning, Nick. I can't deal with this kind of heartbreak.
A lot of people, I think, went with cheated on.
Oh,
yeah.
Which I was surprised. I would rather be cheated on. No, like a lot of people wanted to be fallen out of love with over time. They thought being cheated on would be harder.
Yeah.
I would rather be cheated on than fallen out of love with over time.
Well, cheated on, you're just like, ew, you're a douche. We're falling in love over time. It's like, oh, they know everything about me, and they just are not impressed anymore.
Yeah, they're just like, I'm good. No.
I understand your heart, and I could do without it.
Yeah.
It's not like one impulsive decision.
Right?
It's like, I know you, and I have carefully considered how much I do not love you anymore.
Like, it was like a well thought out reason to be like,
I've done research for 20 years, and my thesis statement is,
you suck.
You not the one, baby.
Because I've had before, I've said to a therapist, what if he cheats on me? And she gave me the greatest answer. She's like,
then they do.
They do, and that's him. And you can't control that. And
it's a reflection of that. And then you can be cheated on, and they can regret it, and they can wish they had you back, and then you have the choice to either take them back or not. And if you don't want them back, you get that ego boost, as opposed to falling out of love with over time. They're just like, no, I've really done my due diligence.
Yeah, I love to fail fast.
And the sight of you is disgusting.
I like to fail fast. You know, I don't want 20 years, kids, houses, jewelry. Actually, I could use that.
I feel like engagement rings and males net positive. It equals the playing field.
I also think it then presents the opportunity for a Becca Thomas situation where women propose to men. Because I think it's beautiful to proclaim in a formalized way how important someone is
And on the
to
outside
you.
chance your fiance cheats on you as a result of more women finally hitting on him because he has an engagement ring. Now you know.
But also,
now you're not marrying the guy who was going to cheat on you 5 years from now.
True. But it's not going to be like an Axe commercial where the second a guy puts it on, all these women start licking his face. But I like the power dynamic shifting because, women are just like, I'm just going to sit around and wait for him to decide he wants me. Where if there's an option of women proposing, I think it adds some more balance into the relationship. And I'm just a feminist.
We still live in a world where we get, asked all the time, I like him. He won't ask me out. What should I do? Ask him out.
Yeah.
But it is still a rather popular opinion to not if you're a woman in a heterosexual relationship to chase or put yourself out there.
But you probably have a lot of successful women that listen to the pod. And I feel like a lot of guys are insecure dating women who make more money than them.
It's a thing, yeah.
Sometimes. And I think if women propose...
that's what we hear from a women audience.
It would give it more of a balance where it's like, oh, like, you know, she doesn't have to be taken care of all the time. I like getting taken care of emotionally, but I don't need it monetarily. It doesn't like turn me on sometimes. Sometimes it does.
Sometimes you want daddy to pay for.
Daddy.
It also speaks to like the tendency for, because I think it's inherently vulnerable to put yourself out there in that way. And then it feels, I think, sometimes even more vulnerable for women because there's this conditioning to be chosen as opposed to be the chooser. Ooh. And I think it could be very cool if we started
we're just gonna
let women choose.
We're just going to have to over time.
I just don't like feeling indebted. Sometimes a ring could be like the ultimate drink at the bar. Like, I bought you a drink at the bar. And I don't want to deal with that. Like, I want to get him stuff so he feels like I don't want to be indebted to him for like a blowjob. I want to give a blowjob because I want to, not because he spent money on a fancy ring.
Yeah. Well, I guess this comes, I feel like you're going to know if you're going to get engaged to a guy who would throw that in your face.
True.
Right?
True.
No. And I feel some people weirdly like that shit. I don't know.
True. Yeah, they want to be like feel weaker in that way in the romantic sense, even if you're a badass boardroom bitch.
So why aren't you on Summer House anymore?
Well, I did get married, which I don't think was ideal.
Not ideal? They don't believe in marriage?
I do think like when I was in my 20s and I was single, going off to the Hamptons was like so fun. It was great. And then my last season, we were like stuck in COVID. I met Des and it was a really hard season. And it just kind of, my life changed a lot since then. And now I'm pursuing comedy full time and going on cool podcasts like this.
You're really, I see you, well, I mean, I guess it's your TikToks, but you're a lot of comedy stuff. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I perform like almost every night in the city working on my spots and then travel. I'm like putting together an hour. Well, I started at Betches really where I started comedy, like writing funny sketches and tweeting and writing memes. I called it like a comedy boot camp. And then I started my podcast and I've been doing stand-up for like 3 to 4 years now. And I'm putting together, I have my hour that I'm just cutting the fat, making it better. And I have a lot of really great New York City comedians and LA comedians around me that have given me a lot of great insight and advice in the comedy world. I love performing and making people laugh.
It's amazing.
Yeah, have you gotten heckled?
Oh,
in a memorable way? Or just like stupid?
I mean, the other day I was doing a show at like 1 a.m. and there were like 12 people in the crowd and these guys were eating oysters and they were like, eat an oyster. And I'm like, fuck it, I'll take an oyster shot. I don't get a lot of, if a drunk dude starts yelling shit, the audience, like my crowd is hilarious and we'll just cause a feminist riot and yell at him. But eventually we get him back on our team. I love the crowd work aspect. Because you don't know what's going to happen. And when you come up with something funny and everyone's surprised, you feel like a magician on stage.
Yeah, it's got to feel real.
Yeah, and podcasting helps me. It's like my warm-up, podcasting and just riffing. I come up with a lot of bits from going on podcasts and talking about a topic I never thought of before. But I just like expressing myself, and it's unedited and beautiful and raw and scary, but that's kind of, I like to challenge myself.
You come up with a bit about men in engagement rings.
I've been kind of working on it.
There you go.
And I'll credit you on stage.
No, it's okay. Should we dive into some pop culture?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just cultural, topical things.
Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie. There is a bit of a lawsuit situation. I just feel like
the next
everybody's suing everyone right now. And maybe it's always like that, but it feels especially...
Well, it seems like... Well, this is off the heels of the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp trial.
Yeah.
The next big celebrity...
And Black
trial.
China, even though that was not really super contested like the Kardashian.
I mean, I'm a big Brad Pitt fan, so I would prefer him not to be
litigious.
Well, just I don't want to look at him differently.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what's going to come out. I think he's the one suing, or allegedly, it seems like he's the one who's asked for a trial by jury lawsuit against his ex-wife Angelique. This all seems to be over like some winery.
Yes. So
Miraval.
Angelina Jolie sold her stake in the company to a Russian oligarch. And Brad Pitt is claiming that she did this as an instigator, shit-stirring move to make his life worse.
As she should.
Like a total Ted Lasso situation.
Let her have some fun. Like what? Also, okay, I actually don't know anything about the sale, but I do think when celebrities put their shit in the public eye, like Brad Pitt, I don't want to know his private life. I want him to, it's like Will Smith. I don't want to know like the things going on in his personal life. I just like him as an actor.
You didn't want to know that Will Smith's a cuckold?
No, I don't want to know about their beef with their wives. Because once they do, they can really take people down in the public eye. When it's like Angelina versus Brad.
Well, Brad's the one asking for this. So it begs the question, is Brad just like, I guess maybe Johnny Depp, where he's just like, I'm tired of protecting you and like maybe he feels like Angelina has been a certain way towards him throughout this divorce.
Yeah.
And maybe he's tired of things getting leaked out about him. Because like every once in a while I'll go to the grocery store and there's something about like Brad Pitt and drinking or some X, Y, and Z. And it's always like you never really hear too much. It's always just like that, just a little bit like with the, and maybe he has tapes. I don't know. Or is him just saying this a threat to like Angelina's team saying, I want to take you to court, and knowing that Angelina won't want some of her dirty laundry aired.
I do get entertained though with rich people problems. It's like what, $180 million property, and they're like, it's just interesting to see the shit that they're worried about at night.
It seems like Brad. I don't think this is about the winery for Brad. No, if I know Brad,
it's not about the.
And I like to think I do.
And believe me, he does.
I feel like this is the icing on the cake. It was like, you know what? Fine. But I feel like this is more about the kids and the custody battle and the fact that...
Is there a custody battle?
It seems like there is. I mean, they've been divorced for a while, and they're still like at each other's throats.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've heard that she fucking hates him.
Ooh. Oh my God, this is some LAT.
Someone told me that he told them, my ex-wife fucking hates me.
What did Brad do? You know him. What did he do?
I don't know. It sounded like, it's like someone says, yeah, my ex-wife fucking hates me.
Yeah,
I don't know. Or it's just like, she just fucking hates me.
Yeah.
I'm sure they all did things to each other. I don't know if there wasn't my ex-wife hates me because I did X, Y, or Z.
The problem with being this fucking famous is anything that gets public, I don't think is good for the kids. Because
not good for anyone.
Next thing you know, you're all
over
over
Twitter. It's only good for podcasters.
Oh, actually, it's great for us. It is great for us and engagement. But the kids will like never unsee certain things written about their parents, and it becomes a public battle of opinion, which is a messy bitch.
Hopefully they can figure it out outside of the court. I mean, that's the right thing to say.
Yeah, to settle.
That was the right thing to say, Nick. Good job. But people would lose it. Oh my God, imagine Brad and Angelina in court, and Angelina's like, I didn't know.
On the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial, like, they were talking about shit that really had nothing to do with the trial. We're going to get, if Angelina and Brad go to trial, we're going to be like looking at all these photographs of her making out with her brother from like 2000, whenever.
Obsessed. You had to slip it in.
There's a lot.
Yep.
I don't know if you remember, but she went through a phase.
Kind of hot.
And it's open mouth. Like, this is not a peck. This is...
There's a lean back.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there. Well, another kind of topical trial that we should get to is Todd and Julie Chrisley's fraud situation. So
They always looked like they were up to some shit.
Look, you're not a successful reality TV star until you've committed tax fraud.
Well, then I will never be. Always.
You're a successful entertainer.
Always pay the government.
But I don't know how these people like...
Always.
Like the situation, like they're the first people. What is it? The IRS? They're the first people. I'd go down my list. I'd be like, yeah, I'm checking the guy from Jersey Shore ASAP.
Right.
100%.
More money, more problems.
I'm curious what people think, because there's an article on Vox about the case for fewer friends. There's also
what's the argument? What's the case?
It's basically saying that the biggest marginal benefit from friends is going from 0 to 1. So there is a vastly different and positive outcome.
Like quality of life from like having one friend.
Yeah, and it's not even just like a social thing. Like it's literally like health things that they measure.
Yeah.
Health things that they measure. Wow, I'm a scientist.
I was like, yes, absolutely. She's right.
We don't ever want to be accused of acting like doctors, so we really try to dumb it down.
But that kind of reminds me, not to put it back to more money, more problems, but it's like the lottery where they say only about up to a certain amount of money actually makes you happier. And then people who win the lottery have been known to like be extremely depressed, sometimes trigger warning, suicidal.
Yeah.
And it reminds me kind of about friends where it's like more friends, more problems.
100%.
This study says 3 to 5.
Is the sweet spot?
Close friendships is the sweet spot. What do you think? How many close friendships would you say you have?
100. Well, it's hard to define close friendship. I subscribe to this story for sure.
I do too.
I've always been someone who's generally kept my circle relatively small, and I've always valued close friendships, and I haven't valued like acquaintances all that much.
Yeah, like you're not walking around with like a squad.
Like I don't go out of my way to like make people I know
feel
like,
comfortable.
as a people like Hannah. Like I haven't really like we're not friends. So like I'll have you on my podcast every 2 years.
And I'll have resting disgust face.
And then I'll forget that we ever met.
But like I'm not gonna like crack a smile for you.
No, that's why like you're like a cat. Like you have to earn his love, and I'm obsessed with that.
I am like a cat, and I hate that about myself, but it's so true.
But it's like even when you earn it, it's like still some days it will be like, yeah, I'm not hanging out with you.
Basically, like, if you try to pet Nick, he'll hiss at you, but like one day you'll be spacing out, and he'll like rub on your knee, and you're like, oh, okay. And then you try to pet him, he's like, absolutely not.
You thought?
That is scary accurate.
That's why I'm a cat person. Fun fact. I have always been like, I love one friend who I'm like, we're obsessed with each other, probably unhealthily, but it's almost like they're my girlfriend. Like I have my boyfriend, but I also have a girlfriend where like I tell them everything. They get opinions on everything. They know all my UTIs, all my bad like text messages, all my health scares, emotional breakdowns. Because I can't be that forthcoming with 5 people. I also cannot be like as charming and funny with 5 people in a day. I only have so much to give, you know?
Yeah, 100%. Also, like when you have friends, there's always this like the expectation of, well, I would do this for you. Why aren't you doing this for me? And depending on how many friends you have, you know, if someone who's like, I have so many friends, and like, you know, we always know people who are like, she's my best friend. He's my best friend.
Yes.
How many best friends do you have? You know? Like and it turns out they only have like a handful of acquaintances. But you know, like,
and that's lonely as fuck.
It is. But like, then you start being disappointed because, and I empathize sometimes with this person, and by this person I mean just I'm generalizing, because they really probably are a good friend. They really want friends, and they're so willing to give themselves to people. But it like dating, you know, it's that person who's like chasing love and going. They don't have enough expectations of the people who are their friends with. So like, yeah, have that one good friend who treats you right, who goes out of your way, who gives who likes you, not just like someone who like gives you access to a certain thing and you think they're cool and you think they're cool to like be in their same circle, but they're like not your friend and they don't really care about you. Because when you feel that rejection, it's an empty feeling. It really depletes you. And when you realize that you've been calling this group of people your friends, but like they're not really friends with you, but you've never really figured out why you want to be their friend or what they bring to the table for you, you know? And I think people do way too much of that.
I think you could also have the same perspective with networking. People like ask advice about networking all the time. And I always say, instead of like having 100 people's contacts because you're just like, hey, stop and see who you're not forcing it with and who you like authentically connect with. Like, for example, instead of going on like, well, I do go on a lot of podcasts, but like Alex Cooper and I became really good friends, and it wasn't like a forced thing. It just happened naturally, and she's been like a huge part of my career, and I've maybe I was there for her, maybe, I don't know, maybe I helped her in some way, and And that's better than me knowing 500 people a little bit.
I bet you have helped, Alex. Because I'm sure
we're very similar in a lot of ways.
Yeah, but also like, and I'm sure someone like Alex, probably it's harder for her to trust certain people. You know, she's at a certain success level where like sometimes it's hard to make friends that you trust. I don't trust easily, especially making adult friends. Yeah. Or making friends after you have some level of success is a challenge. So I'm sure because your friendship started after she had her success, I'm sure there's a lot of, I'm sure you have helped her a lot in some ways of just like knowing that there's a level of trust there.
I do think your friends are mirrors for you. And she knows, like, I see her as this like former athlete like myself who's like super hardworking and smart. And that's always how I've seen her. And I think people see her not in that light a lot of the time. And I know she sees me, she saw me for my comedic talent, not to be like, oh, do you want to be messy on reality TV? And that's why like I loved being around her. And I like surrounding myself with funny, smart, powerful women who aren't intimidated by me.
Well, this researcher, Jeffrey Hall, said it takes 200 hours approximately to get that level of intimacy with people. So
200
it's also,
hours.
Approximately.
200 hours. And I imagine that must be somewhat similar to romantic like relationships.
I do think
that's so interesting. Like if that number is the same.
200 hours. What's 200 divided by 8? 25. So if you spent 8 straight hours with someone, it would take you 25 days. And that's 8 straight hours. And that's of like having real conversations. And think of all the dates people go on.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, I'm in love. Or like, I feel like I've known them forever. And they've been on 4 2-hour dates.
I do believe that gut instinct in the beginning, though. Like, when you meet a friend and immediately you feel good, you just don't know their inner trauma yet. But also, I'm that friend that like third day I'm with you, if I like you, I'm like, okay, so this happened to me when I was 6.
Totally.
So with certain people, I think you can trauma bond fast.
Yeah, I think you can bond, but I think this is just saying it still takes those 200 hours to really build that connection and trust.
Consistency.
Like, because when you can trust our guts and you can feel comfortable, but we've all been burned.
True.
By realizing someone's like, yeah, you're not who I thought you were. And I didn't know you forever. And wow, I regret that.
I feel like your brand for so long was like you're single and you're trying to find that person. And sorry, now I'm interviewing Nick. And you found a person right now. How do you feel like it's affected your brand?
I don't know.
Because it's ruined my brand. It's ruined it.
It has. You being married.
I just for so long was like single, fun, like men are trash vibes. And now I'm evolving.
I think it's all. I'm sure it's ultimately helped my brand. I guess. I mean, because I primarily have. I like you. I have more women than men listening to the show or my audience.
Yeah.
And I don't know if like the single. I was like I've talked about this before. Like I dated plenty when I was single, and I had some short term. I had some short term relationships, but I never really talked about them. Like I wouldn't go to events with people because I always felt like I was given a choice. Like I can either look like a man whore or I can look like a lonely loser. And I just opted for lonely loser. Mm-hmm. The truth is I wasn't either, right? I just was single for a long period of time and I would date some people here and there and it, just they weren't my person, so you'd move on. But over 5 or 6 years, if you're going to all these like events with someone like a different person, it just looks like, you hear these celebrities, the people they dated. Well, over the course of like 5 or 6 years, like it's not that long
and
of a list.
And then your name is connected with all these people that you didn't even know that well.
But I opted for lonely loser. So I feel like
honestly relatable.
Finally having a girlfriend and it being Natalie definitely has helped in terms of like, because there's a lot of like, finally he's found someone. I'm like, I really was doing fine.
Yeah.
But
you also give like new probably angles of advice too now that you're in a relationship, which is cool. And people can be like, now we know like it wasn't him. Like it was just he hadn't met the right person.
Yeah. I can be like, I was patient. Like, so all you guys can be patient. I think it's ultimately probably helped. But I still advocate for like being single.
Do you know what we have in common? We both start our relationships with a DM slide.
Ooh.
Who slid into whose DM?
He slid into mine.
So we both been slid.
We slided. And I'm open to it.
Yeah.
And he was very direct with mine.
What did he say?
He was just like, hey, are you in Long Island? And I said, yes. And he said, do you want to get coffee on Friday? And I said, yes, here's my number.
Love it.
The Friday makes all the difference. Like presenting a concrete time for planning.
Hot.
Ooh,
Hot. Hot. You know, once I'm just like, give me the number. I'm like, yes, figure it out, Zaddy.
I love that.
And then the rest is history. How much did you guys flirt before someone was kind of forward?
Well, she lived in Georgia and
Yeah.
I lived in LA. So we flirted pretty heavily for the first 2 weeks before we met. Yeah. Like heavily.
heavy petting in the flirting department.
Oh, I also remembered something I wanted to say about, in terms, like, you hitting up a girl in Georgia, some would be like,
She hit up me.
she hit up you.
Yeah.
Someone would be like, okay, is he emotionally unavailable? Like, I was emotionally unavailable. That's why I didn't like when guys were that vulnerable with me, because I didn't want to. I wasn't available for them.
I think I have been. I think if you're single for a long enough period of time, I think there's definitely periods where you're emotionally unavailable.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like, I think for most people, I don't think it's like, for some people, sure, there might be like, yeah, for 2 years, I would just like was emotionally unavailable.
Yeah.
Or I'm an emotionally unavailable person. I need to get therapy.
Yeah.
I think for more people, it's just like, it might be, I don't know. I really went for it on the dating apps for like 6 weeks, and I didn't have any good dates, and and now I feel fatigued. So now I'm a little shut down, or
Yes.
maybe not feeling your best self, whatever it is, maybe from a fitness standpoint, maybe from like your just work hasn't been going well. So you've lost a little confidence. Like
Yes.
there's multiple reasons why people might feel a little like unavailable.
Yeah.
When I first moved to LA, the first, year and a half, I went from having this very successful corporate job, having a condo in Chicago, like my career was like lined up in front of me, and I had like
respect around you in the boardroom.
I was on a fast track on a very like not even up and coming, a very successful tech company, and then like fast forward, I was like sleeping on an air mattress in my buddy's spare room, who
In
I
Venice,
barely
or?
no in East
Oh my God.
and like this is a friend who's now one of my best friends. At the time, barely fucking knew him. I was taking some big risks. So,
That's exciting.
So, and I was like in improv class, and so it was just like I'm going on dates, being like, not totally confident about what my life's gonna look like in 3 years. So like that could have, that plays a role. So with people, I think, whether you feel like emotionally available, it can really depend on it'd be week to week and day to day. So I think
True.
we kind of just need to take it easy on ourselves sometimes. And it's okay to say like, I'm not available, but it's not like everyone's just like shut down.
I noticed that I would go after emotionally unavailable guys, or guys I didn't like respect emotionally, because I'd be like, oh, if he rejects me or if it doesn't work out, he's a stupid model. Or like or guys
Oh,
that
God, yeah.
I just, but it was fun for me because I was attracted to them, and then I realized, oh no, you're the one.
I don't like you, but like you're fired. Yeah,
like
you
I
can't fire me. I quit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or you'd feel like you're in control of it because you are not going to fall for them, which is, messy waters. But it sounds like both your person and my person had the moment where they were vulnerable. And then I was like, oh, I'm finding my emotional availability now. And it does take two to tango.
Yeah, I feel like especially if you are going from being emotionally unavailable, you need to get coaxed out slowly.
No, like Des yelled at me. He was just like, I like you. So what is going on? And I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I mean, I guess that's what happened with Natalie and I. It took 9 months for her to crack
But you, she did.
me.
Sounds sexual.
Yeah, it really does.
Oh, she cracked.
My spine is aligned.
Wait, this is a random tidbit, but I was at the Las Vegas airport. They have a chiropractor in the airport.
Honestly, they're out of control over
they
there.
have one in the Minneapolis airport.
Yeah, because people are sitting over the like machines all day, like hunched over. They need to get realigned.
Before COVID.
You would do that?
No. Well, I wouldn't not do it, but
So you would do it.
well, if this tells you anything, I used to live in Venice, and I used to go to the Whole Foods, and as a single guy, you go to Whole Foods. I'm a single serving guy, right?
Yeah.
You don't go and like buy a week's worth of groceries.
No.
You're just like, I'm gonna go get dinner tonight. So you go to the grocery store.
A little couscous.
Yeah, whatever. You buy
Hot
and
bar.
and there was the chair massage lady, Diane.
Yeah, $1 a minute.
And
Oh,
one day I was
shit.
like, this looks fucking good.
Take
And
all my money, Diane.
I spent $2,500 one year on Diane.
Oh my God. Diane is putting her kids through college.
Because I'd go to the grocery store like 4 or 5 times a week, and it became a thing, and I'd get a 30-minute massage every time. I didn't give a fuck.
Oh my God.
There's this place, there's a massage college close to my house in East Hollywood where it's $20 an hour, and it is the sketchiest situation in the world.
Yeah.
But $20 an hour is $20 an hour.
Yeah.
And it's a dice roll because it's students massaging you.
You're
So
like-
sometimes they're really good. Sometimes they're like, they do weird stuff.
Like, I just want human touch
One-
at this point.
One time, a lady did come up to me and yell at me for she didn't like me on The Bachelor,
Oh.
and my
While
massage.
you're getting massaged?
Yeah,
Oh my God.
and the massage therapist was like, "What was that?" I'm like, "I don't know." She's like, "Must be."
I've done that.
I just played dumb. Like, wow.
Whenever
Like-
you're not in the mood to explain yourself, even if someone's happy, like, hey, I know from Summer House, and someone's like, what was that? I'd be like, drinking is a problem in New
I'm
York
like,
City.
I surely don't know.
So sad. Alcoholism.
Boozy brunches are an issue.
We could-
Speaking of
Oh.
no.
friendships, do we
Oh.
want to talk about third wheeling?
Let's get into it.
Okay, so this is a very personal topic for me. I pride myself on being a great third wheel.
I do too. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Please.
No, you're good. Because my sister started dating her fiance when I was 12. So it's been like 12 years of me third wheeling. And I was told by her fiance that it would actually be weird if I had a boyfriend, because then he would be like a fourth wheel and he wasn't sure how that was going to work. So I've continued this, and now I am the third wheel of a married couple out here in LA, and the three of us just hang out constantly. So I did a little.
Did you put out like
digging.
a Craigslist advertisement?
Thruple?
like,
I did
I'm
not.
like,
I
It's like
just
Hey,
unicorn
stumbled
for
upon
hire,
this.
just in a
couples looking
platonic
for
way.
third wheel. Like,
Ease the tension of your
Yeah.
conversation by me sitting there.
couples who don't
I'm
really like each
available.
other all that well and need someone to like break the ice.
Bridge the gap.
Need something
I
to
am
talk
that
about in the car
person.
ride home.
Yeah.
So I was thinking that part of this and part of this uptick of maybe third wheeling has to do with people being single more. So I found a survey from 2019, which revealed that 51% of adults between the ages of 18 and 34 do not have a steady romantic partner. And that was on the uptick. So I'm assuming it's even more now. And then I read something that actually being a third wheel or having additional people to your marriage or your serious relationship is actually beneficial.
So wait,
because
beneficial for who? The married couple or the third
Yes.
wheel?
the married couple.
Because I think it's great all around.
Yeah. So in 2017, a paper was published in the Social, Psychological, and Personality Science, and researchers found that, quote, spouses who reported being more satisfied with the availability of friends and family whom they know they could connect with during times of marital conflict experience conflict as less psychologically stressful. We found that having a satisfying social network buffers spouses from the harmful psychological effects of everyday marital conflicts. Maintaining a few good friends is important to weathering the storms of your marriage.
So
You know-
talk shit to your friend is what she's saying.
Basically, also, sometimes you just need to let things out because you can also, having friends lets you to like talk shit about your friends instead of your partner too.
Yes.
You and your husband or wife can like talk shit about the third wheel.
Yes.
And feel
Yes.
better
you
about yourselves.
bond over like, oh, she keeps asking me about that. See that movie? What a stupid movie. I also think that I've called friends before and been like, I'm upset. Is this normal? And they'll be like, yeah, my dude does this all the time. And like,
Totally.
they immediately change your perspective on shit. Because if you feel trapped in your own head, then bad things happen. Also, you don't ever feel like you're in this routine where you're just with a sibling.
Yeah.
You know, when you're just hanging out and
Totally.
it becomes platonic. When there's a third person there, you're like, you feel like you're dating almost, you know? You're with friends, we're romantic. I don't know.
I also think it'd be incredibly positive for the third wheel. especially if the third wheel has a good outlook on it. Because like an engagement ring on a man, I think a positive third wheel, not the third wheel like dragging their feet, always being like, I don't have anybody, and like looking around the bar, but like someone who's just like having fun with the couple, enjoying themselves. And if you have a good positive attitude, then they're going to want to, like, your married friends obviously want to hook you up, which becomes annoying. But I think it reads attractive if you are a confident third wheel.
Ooh, yeah.
Well, what is your take on physical affection of the couple when you are hanging out with like a third wheel? Like, do you
PDA?
Yeah.
Like,
honestly, turns me on. I'm just kidding.
Pro.
I feel like
I
you
think
don't
an
want them.
appropriate amount is fine.
Yeah, like you don't want to feel like they can't be affectionate in front of you, but also like if you're mid-sentence and they start fingering each other, it's like, okay, you can wait till I leave. I also think though that having a third wheel can help you, I don't know, you understand yourself more based on seeing their relationship too a little bit and what you like, what you don't like. And also there's clear boundaries. You know, when there's three friends, sometimes it gets messy, like who likes who more, who's hanging out with who. Where with the third wheel, it's like you guys are fucking together. I'm the third one, and you kind of feel special.
I feel
guest star.
I feel like I feel like it happens more with women friendships than men.
Oh my god, I feel like 3 girls in a friendship is disastrous.
Because I just an outside observer. So tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like a lot of women I know will always have one real close friend at any given point in time. And they might have other friends, but there's always that close friend, where guys, in my experience, have a lot of 2s and 3s and groups of 4s, and they seem to be able to maintain that rather. And like, again, women I know or have known, just it's always been like there can only be one. Yeah. And when one falls off, it's like, that there's not enough.
I'm gonna stereotype.
Three can be messy, and I don't know if that's true or maybe
I agree with you.
I could be wrong,
but I'm gonna stereotype. I feel like women sometimes have really deep, emotional, intimate relationships with other women, where men like will hang out for 8 hours and you won't know anything about the dude, and like that's just like some traditional.
Yeah, it's like hour 7. They're like, I broke up, and you're like, what?
Like dudes sometimes don't.
But
like,
it's whatever. I hate her. It's fine. It's cool.
They're not as like emotionally vulnerable, I feel like, with their buddies, where girls are, and with girls, it's like I can't keep up. It's like me having 3 boyfriends. I wouldn't be able to emotionally keep up with it.
That seems like
I like having one emotional
explanation.
person. Yeah.
Well, I feel like I have different friends who unpack things very differently.
True.
Like I have the one friend who's like talk, and then another friend who's like, let's talk about it, let's make some snarky comments, and let's move on to happy stuff.
Or one friend who will like always take my side when I need her to.
Yeah, and then the other friend who's like accountability, and you're like, I hate you. How dare you?
Or another friend who's just like, this is the universe telling you where you have to be, and I'm like,
that's me. I'm the Debbie Downer. I'm like, well, it's your fault.
No, that's my husband will be like, yeah, it's called you got fucked. Yeah. Move on. And I'm like, that's not the way it's meant to be.
But do you agree with?
I'm like, you mistaken me for Jenny. I'm sorry. Jenny will tell you that it's not your fault.
The universe did this to you on purpose to learn a lesson.
But there's the Mindy Kaling quote, like, best friend is a tier, not a title. And I really agree with that.
What does that mean?
Like that, like best friend is like it's a certain tier of friendship that at any given time, I think you can have like 2 to 4 people at that like top level. And there might be like kind of like one who slightly edges it out.
I definitely don't trust the person who's like,
yeah,
they're my best friend. And then a week later, like, oh yeah, you know Eric? They're my best friend. It's like, okay.
Also, I've had friends that I fully thought I was their best friend, and they'll post on Instagram like, with my bestie. I'm like, I don't even know who that bitch is. And the next thing you know, I'm getting jelly. Yeah. But then I realized, some people love that best friend title when like I also, do you ever think about when you say I love you in a friendship?
Totally.
Like, I don't know about dudes, but there's a moment in girls' friendship where you'll be like on the phone, then you're like, love you, bye. Like, you drop the L-bomb in friendships as well.
And it's vulnerable and it's beautiful.
It is gorgeous. And then it never leaves.
I've done that with guy friends.
Were you the first to say it?
I probably am.
Love you, bro.
Yeah.
Love you, man.
Yeah. I'm fine with the L word.
How long does it take for you to drop the L-bomb with your man friends?
I don't know. Not too long.
How long until you propose to your man friends?
Yeah, I like a little man love. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I feel like you like deep conversations, and you can't end a deep conversation with like, okay, see you later.
Yeah, I'm definitely an outlier. I don't think I'm like most. I have a lot of like atypical male qualities, but I also have some Is it atypical? No, I have some typical male qualities, and then I have some like.
Yeah, I think more men should say they love their friends. I think everyone should say they love their friends more often.
Yeah, my friends have always been a big part of my life.
We get it. You have friends.
What makes you a great third wheel, Ellie?
Like, I think just running with it, if they're not pointing it out too much, or if you do, like, doing it briefly and jokingly, because it's like, yeah, if they kiss, especially, like, I had to learn that as, like, growing up with my sister. Like, I can't be in the back seat being like, ew, that's so gross.
They're
like,
holding hands
just run with
in the
it.
console.
I'm a roast. Yeah. I was a third wheel once and caused a divorce.
Okay, messy Nick. Okay, just dropping that us Monday morning.
Yeah.
What happened?
I was out to dinner with my buddy and his wife, and it was a friend who it was right after my first season. Well, this is an interesting night because it was the same night that the Duchess from Housewives, and she was with some friend, and I was like coming off my season of on Andy's season, and like she called me over her table, and
sat on her lap.
And no, and they were all very nice, and they all like, you should come to this other place with us, and I went, and then like all her friends were being very nice. I think Diane, Luann, and then they're like, you should take Luann out, and I'm like, I'm going to Stout, and Stout's like, it's a bar, and I'm like, I don't think you want me to take you to Stout.
You should be like, it's so shabby chic, hole in the wall.
It's just like ironic, you know?
I have a selfie somewhere of me and her, but before she came up, my buddy and his wife at the time, we were out to dinner, and like they are happily divorced.
They consciously uncoupled.
My one buddy, they wouldn't go out a lot, and I always wanted him to like go out more, and so I was kind of being like, yeah, like you should let him go out more, and they just kept talking, and the more they talked, they were just kind of admitting that they would get like anxious, and they would admit to like making the other person like, well, I don't feel good, so I don't want him to do this, and they would both say that. Like they were just kind of talking and owning up to these toxic traits, and I'd been like, guys, can I be honest? Like, you kind of sound like heroin addicts to me, where a couple's like owning that you like do drugs and you don't want your partner to get clean because like then you have to get clean. And they were like, yeah, that kind of sounds like us. And like literally like that night they went home and started talking about getting divorced.
Oh,
you went ask Nick on their ass.
I went and asked Nick on
you
them.
You asked Nick them so
I didn't
hard.
mean to. I was just like, guys, sounds fucked up. But yeah.
He's just blunt. He's honest.
I wasn't trying to. But
well, on the topic of advice, we do have our texting office hours caller here. Are you familiar?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's do it. How's it going?
Hey, I'm Lily. I'm 24.
Hi, Lily. How can we help?
Yeah, so I'm calling in because I've been talking to a guy for a while and then it ended. And I'm trying to decide if I should reach back out to kind of clarify that the door would be open for me in the future, or if I should just kind of leave things where they're at and then just see if maybe down the line he reaches back
So
out.
you're not even sure if you should text.
Right, yeah.
And then
so
if we do text, then we need to come up with a text.
Exactly.
Why do you want to reach back? Why in your gut are you going back to him?
I feel like because things sort of ended in my perspective, more so because of timing rather than compatibility. And
why did it?
Yeah, so I'm.
Who ended it?
He did.
Okay. Why do you think it was timing?
So he's at a place in his life right now that he's very busy with studying for like professional exams for work on top of his normal like day job. And I met him at a time where I was really busy. So I think it was just we were both really busy, and it seems like he wasn't in a position to prioritize a relationship right now.
How many times did you hang out with him?
Twice, but I can give a summary if that helps of kind of the whole situation.
We might backtrack, but he writes, do you mind me reading it?
Go for it.
Lily, I'm so sorry to do this while you are on your trip. You were on a trip? What a dick.
I was on a trip, yeah.
Lily, I'm
She's
so
living
sorry.
her life.
Lily, I'm so sorry to do this while you're on a trip, but I need to get this off my mind. Over the past week or so, I have done some reflection on what I want now. My interest over the last week isn't what it was a couple weeks ago. I have too much going on right now, and I have realized that I need to focus on my exam and moving in with my new roommate.
I love Nick Snark. I live for it.
There is nothing you did. I just have had a change of mind. I'm sorry that I will not be going on with this, but I want you to know I enjoy the time that we have talked and got to know each other. I'm sorry if I wasted your time during a time when I was thinking differently for now, but with a lot less going on. I wish you the best of luck with moving forward in your career and as a great person in general.
Wow.
Okay. Well,
quite a mature message.
Very
from him.
thoughtful.
Can I be blunt?
Yeah.
I think looking back at this, you could see it two ways. One, he's very busy, but he also said his interest has changed. And the second I see that, you're done.
Yeah.
You're done.
Yeah.
Like you could rose-colored glasses this and be like, oh my God, he has a new roommate. Obviously he doesn't have time to see me with a new roommate. But it seems like he was really nice. He wasn't feeling it. This is literally like going back in the trash and seeing if it is fresh. It's not. We're done. I'm over him. I'm over it. I never message him again.
Yeah. Probably. Yeah. I agree. When breakup texts are like, it's like, you know that game Two Truths and a Lie?
So true.
You know, when someone breaks up with you, they're always throwing in a couple lies to soften the truth. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
like when I was like the roommate, like he he
Yeah.
needs to cultivate that relationship and make sure, like, okay, he definitely like threw that in. That's a lie.
Yeah.
I have no doubt that he's studying and busy, but the truth is his feelings have changed. That's the truth.
Or not that his feelings changed. You did nothing wrong. He was getting to know you, and
But you can do nothing wrong, and his feelings can change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if you're gonna fail fast. This is great. I just think you need to close the door on this guy to meet someone new, because you're wasting your time with this one, and he's actually doing you a favor, being like, what, do you want to force this for 6 more months and have it end badly in 6 months and waste 6 months of your time? No. And I think it was very nice of him. He sent this text, and you don't even know the guy that much. We're done. We're over him.
But let's dissect this, because here's what I suspect after perusing some of these other texts is that he was a very charming and very nice guy off the bat and said a lot of reassuring, considerate things. And I wouldn't say he did anything wrong.
Is that true?
Like, just reading that text, that is the perception you get.
Mm-hmm.
But there was no even doubt before this about how interested he was, and it was almost like as if he
how old is this guy?
He's 23.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a little confused
also
baby.
Never been in a relationship.
Yeah, that's not necessarily good news.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, so I met him a few months ago on Hinge, and we had talked for about a month actually before we met in person, because he was in between busy seasons at work. So he had a lot more free time, and I was very busy at work and also traveling. And so because I was so busy, he had asked if we could talk on the phone, and I'm a lot slower to warm. And so I was like, yeah, we'll talk on the phone. And we ended up talking for like 3 hours when I was on the phone home from a road trip. And the conversation flowed very easily, and I was almost surprised by how much like we connected. And then after that, we were talking pretty consistently, like borderline a little too much for my liking, like all day and night. And then we finally had our first date, and it went really well. It went until like 5 a.m. And he was very forward of how interested he was. Like, he was saying like I think about you all the time. Like, you check all my boxes.
Ew,
and he had mentioned that he was hoping that I was still interested, because there were times when I was really busy and like taking a while to respond, and he wasn't sure if that was me not being interested or being busy. And so then we had another great day in person and kept talking all the time. But he started like studying more for his professional exams because he has one coming up, and they last through about January. And so I could tell he was getting more stressed out because he would be falling asleep studying and like talking more about like work stress and stress with all of these exams. And then that's what kind of led to this like text from him. But I feel like if I were giving my friends advice, I would have like probably said the same thing based on that last text. But on previous relationships I've had and people I've talked to, I feel like there's been like things leading up to it where I'm like, oh, this isn't going well, or oh, I'm starting to see a lack of interest, and there never was that until that text. So I feel like that's why it's not as black and white from my perspective. But I understand that last text is very formal and like almost feels like it was written by someone else.
Yeah, I'm like, did HR send that?
Yeah.
I actually think as far as breakup texts go is pretty solid.
Yeah.
They're not easy to do.
Yeah.
Right? You know you're going to disappoint someone. He was pretty honest. He threw in like some unnecessary facts about his relationship with his roommate.
I have to work on my new relationship with my roommate.
But ultimately, it was trying to be pretty clear that like my feelings have changed, which is also not easy to say. Listen, I get where your head's at, and that's the hard part about like trying to give yourself advice that you would otherwise give your friends because you're emotionally invested. I don't think that's ultimately has changed mine and Hannah's opinion. I do think
we're like the jury.
And like honestly, we can go fuck ourselves. We're just two podcast people who like
have strong opinions.
But
I have a scientific explanation because this is a science podcast. You guys only hung out twice, and I know the feeling of like having those amazing talks and feel like you're understanding with someone, and you're gonna have that again with more people. I promise you. This was like opening your heart up to it. But if you think about it, you were on a fucking high of adrenaline because he was not available, you were not available, you both were chasing each other like a drug, and you got a hit of it when you first hung out, and it was amazing. And then you did it again, but it really was just the dopamine hit of this like chase you guys had. And what you're feeling right now is
for both
like,
of you.
Yes, what you're feeling right now is a post like drug feeling,
the come down
of this high of this intense thing. But you guys did not hang out enough for you guys to have like actually a stable, normal connection. It was more this high of finally meeting, and you did nothing wrong, but he's not your man's.
I agree.
You're feeling a withdrawal of the highs that this dude was giving you, but let's be honest, most of it was virtual. And in person, it was like 2 bachelor dates.
And he was
this is
great.
Literally like a 2 bachelor date type scenario.
I mean, he's great. I'm reading these texts. Like,
He's good. He's good at what he does.
It's this May 15th conversation for me that really kind of sums up. He wrote, "You were amazing tonight. Let me know when you get home." You hearted that. And then you wrote,
"Just got home. Thank you for the loveliest night."
It would be like, for the people listening, it was thanks for the loveliest night, Nicholas Joseph.
With a little
and then he wrote back,
sparkle.
"You're welcome, Lily James. I will talk to you tomorrow. Good night," smiley face. Like, and you guys are just over the top here.
I have 2 red flags.
Yes.
I have 2 red flags.
Everything's getting a heart react in this.
I have 2 red flags. You were amazing. Also, if he was a great guy, I'd be like, this is so nice.
What do you mean you were amazing?
You were amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that is such a fucking line. You were amazing. Notice how he's not saying like we had
a great time.
We together. It was like you nailed it. Like you were. Also, when he said you check all the boxes off my list, I fucking hate that. I hate that so much.
I am not a salad at Hale and Hearty.
Exactly. I hate that you check boxes off my list as if like this is a fucking interview and I'm trying to hit this ideal woman that you have in your head. I don't like that.
Also, the fact that he's never really had a girlfriend, I think that's what's causing the big disconnect for you. Because like that's you're experiencing a disconnect, right? But I think the disconnect is its origin story is because he doesn't have a lot of experience. And I think what you have here is a guy who like who doesn't know a lot. And while we're nitpicking some of the things he says, it sounds like maybe he's like a pretty decent guy who's trying to figure out this dating thing, and he's trying to say and do the right things. And he probably had a really nice time with you. And so what did he do? He wanted to express that. And he thought to himself, how would a guy express a really nice time? And what he did, what the mistake he made is he did it a little too much. He was a little over the top. He was a little too grandiose at the risk of not sounding like, hey, yeah, it was fun. You know?
Yeah, like he didn't mean it in a mean or like a manipulative way.
Yeah, he's not like, he's not love bombing you. Anyone out listening, but, love bombing.
But I also
you got excited.
Maybe because I'm 30 and I'm exhausted. But what I'm trying to say to you is right now you want some closure. You want some closure, or to be like, are you sure? Is basically what you're doing. You're basically like, are you sure? When you start like me dating when I turned 30, I was like, I deserve a guy who does not prioritize his new roommate over me and will find the time and will not break up with me over being busy. And I think that's what helps you sleep at night. Because this guy might be great for you. And I'm not saying you didn't have great chemistry for him, because you're going to have great chemistry with so many men in your life. You're going to have so many good dicks in your life. But I do have to say, you deserve a guy who does not break up with you last second and switch so quickly. I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
And your response was perfect too, by the way.
Oh my God, what a classy bitch.
You wrote, I understand. Thanks for letting me know. I really enjoyed getting to know you too. And I wish you the best of luck with your exams and the move. So like you didn't give him any reason to not reach out if he changed his mind. You weren't rude. You weren't mean. You didn't like, you sounded like someone who's like, thanks for letting me know. You were totally mature about it. You didn't like panic or, so like if this guy changed his mind, he has every reason to reach back out to you.
Yep. Yeah.
So
that answers my question, because I was kind of like, I'm still dating other people. Like I'm talking to other people. I'm not like stopping my life for this or anything, but I just kept thinking back kind of like, wow, those were like good dates. We had good conversations. Just wondering if I like maybe seemed too like cold during the last interaction or something.
No, you were beautiful. You were understanding. You were concise. You could have sent a whole long text like, this is crazy. The door is wide open for him, and you've done all you can do. You've been kind, respectful, and great.
The first words out of your mouth were, I understand. You empathized with him. Like, I don't think that's a really small thing that goes a long way. I don't think a lot of people do. Yeah. Most people would say, I don't understand.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be like, okay.
Literally.
Yeah, like you're a Pisces, I'm a Scorpio. This is supposed to work out. What are you talking about?
And you were just like, oh, I understand. And he was probably very nervous about sending this. He thanked you for understanding. He then said, I thank you for understanding. I really appreciate it. He was worried about how you would feel. He was worried about hurting your feelings. You empathized with him. You've definitely cultivated a safe space for him to reach out if he's interested. When one person bows out after a couple dates, that's usually just means they aren't that interested.
I also would say a simple way moving forward is when guys tell you something, just take it for what it is. Don't try to read between the lines, think of what he's probably wants to say, think of what he's struggling with. No. Over the past few weeks, my interest has gone down, and that's all you have. Listen to him.
Yeah.
Hear him for what he says, and it's not your job to figure him out.
Because in an alternate universe, he just ghosts you. So we gotta give him some credit for just trying to be honest and upfront.
Yeah.
But that's not to be confused with confusion on his part.
Yeah.
He's not confused.
Yeah.
And it's not your job to change his mind or force it or find the divine timing when the moon is in, retrograde. You listen to what he say and respect it like you did, and you don't have to change anything.
I would give you an A+ on how you handled it.
Totally.
Because now
it was honestly hot. I'm attracted to you.
Your response was perfect. You're still dating. There were so many worse ways to respond to this. So any further response we're gonna have to deduct from that A+.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm gonna keep it at an A+. Though.
Yeah.
And when you have that thought loop of missing him, treat it like a drug. You're missing that high, but it's purely a high. I'm telling you, of a chemistry reaction. It's a drug that you're getting off.
Also, you don't even know, the more you got to know him, how much you would like about him. That's a problem with someone ending it after the first couple dates.
Those are
right?
the hardest.
It's because now they take that opportunity for you to further get to know him. And he broke up with you. He ended it at a time where you were feeling pretty good. So it almost like freezes time
with the potential phase.
with the potential of what you think they could be. And you're locked into that potential of what they am. And that's not who he is.
Yeah, you didn't get to date him and see all the shitty sides to him. You just have this fantasy of what he is in your head.
Exactly.
So
that's I think the hardest part is like I didn't even get to see it crash and burn.
Yes. Just have that recognition that when you are sad or you're missing those first couple dates, it's like it's not him you were missing. And to Hannah's point, just keep going out there, and you're going to date a couple frogs. You'll have more bad dates than good ones, but you're going to have another nice date.
You saw the best version of him,
probably,
and it goes downhill from there.
Facts.
I'm gonna keep that line in my mind.
Hell yeah,
only downhill from that version of him.
All right.
Well, thank you so much.
Hopefully this was helpful.
Yeah. It was really helpful. Thank you both. This
All
has
right.
been perfect.
Take care.
Oh my God, I love giving advice with Nick.
Hannah, thanks for coming.
Oh my God, what a joy. This went by so fast. I love talking shit with you guys.
What a pleasure.
So much fun.
Where can my audience find you?
Oh my gosh. Well, go to hannahburn.com. I have dates coming up. I'm going to Madison and Milwaukee.
All right, yeah.
I'll be in Chicago.
When are you going to Milwaukee?
I think in October. I should know these things, but it'll be a good time. Have some cheese curds.
How do you spell your last name?
Berner.
Okay.
And check out my podcast, Berning In Hell, where I talk to people about mental health comedy shit, and Giggly Squad with my best friend, Paige DeSorbro. My bestie.
All right. Check it out. It's always a pleasure. And it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you for the first time.
I actually love that shit because I'm usually the other one who's like, oh, sorry.
You forget people's names and shit.
Yeah. My facial recognition has
That's
gone
why Nick
downhill.
likes me, because I play hard to get with him. I have no respect for him. That's why he likes me.
No, what it is you don't require my validation.
Oh my God, stop.
And
I do. I tried to make you laugh this whole time.
And I really like that.
Are we in love?
No, but we can be friends.
Bestie?
Nah.
I have a small circle.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Oh my God. Bye.
Hey guys, thanks for watching, but before you go, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss any future videos like our Mondays Ask Nick for your favorite relationship stories and advice, and our Tuesday Bachelor Recaps. See you next time.